Hello everyone and welcome to the Young and the Restless official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, March 12th reveal that Victoria Newman will justify Victor Newman's risky moves while Nick Newman receives information that could help with the hunt for Matt Clark. Although Adam Newman is having a hard time revisiting his days as Spider in Vegas, he might be the best person to help Nick and Sharon Newman with their Matt problem. Adam will have some lingering concerns about reverting to the old Adam or pulling his family into a dangerous situation. However, Adam will ultimately put those fears aside and deliver some critical info to Nick. It sounds like Adam will manage to come up with a potential address for Reza Thompson. Since Reza may be hiding Matt in Vegas, Adam's news could help Nick with his Matt takedown mission. In the meantime, Y&R spoilers say Sienna Bacall will have a troubling revelation for Noah Newman. If Matt has figured out that Sienna is digging around, he may send an eerie message that insists she shouldn't have done that. Even if Matt doesn't realize Sienna's been investigating, he could still find some way to creep her out and leave Noah fuming. Across town, Victoria will rush to her father's defense. Nikki Newman will see the over Victor's decision to kidnap Jack Abbott as leverage. But Victoria will get why her dad's willing to go to extremes. Victoria may admit it's not the ideal strategy, but she presumably won't think it's a horrible one either. Despite Nikki's complaints, Victoria may agree with Victor doing whatever it takes as long as Jack remains unharmed. Of course, Nikki may argue that Jack's already been harmed since there's photographic evidence of him being unconscious. Jack's ordeal will bring Nikki's meltdown, so she'll push Victor to release him immediately. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Victor will hold out hope for a deal with Phyllis Summers, so stay tuned. The tension simmering beneath the polished streets of Genoa City continues to rise as new secrets surface and loyalties are tested in ways no one could have predicted. According to the latest developments on The Young and the Restless, the events set to unfold on Thursday, March 12th, promise a dangerous mix of strategy, betrayal, and emotional reckoning. At the center of the storm stands Victoria Newman, fiercely defending the controversial decisions of her father, Victor Newman. While others recoil at the ruthless lengths he's willing to go, Victoria sees the situation through a different lens, one shaped by years of witnessing her father's relentless determination to protect his family at any cost. As whispers of Victor's latest risky maneuver ripple through those closest to him, the air becomes thick with disagreement, anxiety, and simmering conflict. Yet even as the family fractures under the weight of moral outrage and strategic desperation, another urgent mission begins to take shape elsewhere in the city. For Nick Newman, the pursuit of a dangerous enemy may finally be inching closer to a breakthrough. Far from the arguments unfolding in the Newman household, Nick's focus remains locked on one looming threat, Matt Clark. The hunt for Matt has been exhausting, riddled with uncertainty and false leads, but hope begins to flicker when an unlikely ally steps forward. That ally is none other than Adam Newman, whose complicated past may hold the key to uncovering Matt's whereabouts. For Adam, however, the task is anything but simple. Helping Nick means confronting a shadowy chapter of his own life, the dangerous persona he once embraced during his days in Las Vegas when he operated under the name Spider. The memories are not easy to revisit, and the weight of that past identity presses heavily on him. Each recollection feels like reopening a door he fought hard to close, stirring fears that stepping back into that world could awaken parts of himself he would rather keep buried. Yet despite those lingering doubts, Adam cannot ignore the urgency of the moment. He worries about what returning to that mindset might do to him, and more importantly, he fears dragging the people he loves into a situation that could spiral into real danger. Still, as the stakes become clearer and the threat of Matt Clark looms larger, Adam pushes those fears aside. Determination slowly replaces hesitation, and with a steady resolve, he begins digging into the information only someone with his past could uncover. Eventually, that effort yields something valuable, something that could change everything for Nick's investigation. Adam manages to track down what appears to be a potential address connected to Reza Thompson. The discovery carries enormous implications because if Reza truly is involved, she could very well be hiding Matt somewhere in Las Vegas. For Nick, the lead feels like the first real step toward finally bringing Matt down and ending the dangerous game that has been unfolding for far too long. While that investigation begins to gather momentum, another unsettling development unfolds elsewhere. Sienna Bacall finds herself shaken by a revelation she cannot ignore, and she quickly realizes that the implications could be far more dangerous than she ever imagined. When she brings the troubling news to Noah Newman, the atmosphere between them grows tense with worry and uncertainty. There is a chilling possibility that Matt Clark may have discovered Sienna has been quietly digging into matters that were never meant to be uncovered. If that suspicion is true, the consequences could be terrifying. A cryptic and unsettling message might arrive. Something cold and ominous warning her that she should never have started asking questions in the first place. Even if Matt hasn't fully realized what Sienna has been doing, his presence still manages to creep into their lives in deeply unsettling ways, leaving Noah simmering with anger and a fierce desire to protect her from whatever darkness may be closing in. Meanwhile, across town, the Newman family finds itself engulfed in a fiery confrontation that threatens to tear emotions wide open. At the center of the argument stands Victor Newman's latest controversial move, his shocking decision to kidnap Jack Abbott as leverage in a high-stakes power play. The moment Nikki Newman learns the truth, her reaction is immediate and explosive. Fury and disbelief surge through her as she struggles to comprehend how Victor could possibly justify such an extreme act. To Nikki, the situation is already beyond unacceptable, and the evidence only makes it worse. Photographs have surfaced showing Jack unconscious, proof that the situation has crossed a line that can never truly be erased. The thought of Jack being treated as nothing more than a bargaining chip shakes her to the core, igniting a meltdown fueled by outrage, fear, and moral conviction. Victoria, however, refuses to see her father as the villain in this story. With unwavering loyalty, she steps forward to defend Victor, her voice carrying both determination and reluctant understanding. She acknowledges that the strategy may not be perfect and admits it is far from the most ethical solution. Still, in her mind, the circumstances are extraordinary, and extraordinary situations sometimes demand drastic action. As long as Jack remains physically unharmed, Victoria believes Victor's intentions are ultimately rooted in protecting the family and securing what matters most. But Nikki cannot accept that reasoning, not when the images of Jack's vulnerable state are burned into her mind. For her, the damage has already been done, and every second Jack remains in captivity only deepens the moral wound Victor has inflicted. The argument escalates into a powerful emotional clash between two women who both care deeply about the same man, yet see the situation from completely opposite sides. Nikki's desperation grows as she pleads for Victor to release Jack immediately, convinced that nothing good can come from continuing this dangerous game. But Victor remains stubbornly confident in his strategy, believing the situation will ultimately work in his favor. In his mind, there is still a chance to strike a deal with Phyllis Summers, a deal that could shift the entire balance of power. Until that moment arrives, Victor refuses to back down, even as the emotional fallout spreads through everyone caught in the storm. And as the night stretches on, one question hangs heavily in the air. How far will Victor Newman go before someone finally forces his hand? As the storm of conflict continues to swirl across Genoa City, the consequences of every choice begin to ripple outward in ways no one can fully control. In the midst of it all, Nick Newman finds himself standing at the edge of a potential breakthrough that could change everything. The information provided by Adam Newman weighs heavily on his mind, not just because it offers hope in the hunt for Matt Clark, but because it came at such a personal cost to Adam. Revisiting the dark corners of his past, the days when he operated under the dangerous alias Spider in Las Vegas has stirred emotions Adam had long tried to bury. For Nick, the realization settles in that Adam didn't just hand over a lead, he stepped back into a part of himself he had fought to leave behind. The potential address connected to Reza Thompson could be the thread that finally unravels Matt's hiding place, but it also signals the beginning of a much more dangerous phase of the mission. With every passing moment, the urgency grows stronger, and Nick can feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him as he prepares for what may be the confrontation that finally ends Matt's reign of fear. Meanwhile, Adam wrestles quietly with the emotional aftermath of the decision he has made. Though he presented the information to Nick with confidence, the truth is that stepping back into that world has reopened wounds he thought had healed. Memories of Vegas, the dim lights, whispered deals, and the calculating persona he once wore like armor, linger in his mind long after the conversation ends. Adam cannot shake the fear that returning to those old instincts could drag him into dangerous territory again, both morally and physically. Yet beneath that anxiety is something stronger, a deep desire to protect his family and ensure that Matt Clark's threats are finally neutralized. It is a difficult balance to maintain, walking the line between the man he used to be and the man he has fought so hard to become. And as the plan to pursue Matt begins to take shape, Adam understands that the past he revisited may not remain in the shadows for long. Across another corner of the city, a far more chilling tension begins to take hold. Sienna Bacall cannot shake the unsettling feeling creeping over her, a sensation that something or someone is watching far more closely than she realized. When she confides her troubling discovery to Noah Newman, the mood between them shifts instantly from curiosity to dread. The possibility that Matt Clark may have discovered Sienna's quiet investigation casts a long shadow over the room. If he has indeed caught on to her digging, then the consequences could be far more dangerous than either of them anticipated. The thought alone sends a cold chill through the air, as though Matt's presence is suddenly much closer than anyone expected. Even the smallest sign, a cryptic message, a strange warning, or a subtle reminder that someone has been watching could confirm their worst fears. The idea that Matt might send an eerie message warning Sienna that she should never have started asking questions hangs heavily over the conversation. Such a gesture would not only confirm that he knows what she's been doing, but also demonstrate just how calculated and intimidating he can be. And even if he hasn't discovered the truth yet, Matt has a way of making his presence felt, creeping into people's lives in ways that leave them rattled and unsettled. For Noah, the thought of Sienna being targeted ignites a fierce protective instinct within him. His frustration quickly builds into anger, the kind that simmers beneath the surface as he contemplates how far Matt might be willing to go. In Noah's mind, this is no longer just an investigation. It has become a personal fight to keep someone he cares about safe from a man who thrives on manipulation and fear. At the same time, the emotional storm brewing within the Newman family continues to intensify, and the divide between loyalty and morality grows sharper with every passing minute. Nikki Newman remains deeply shaken by the shocking truth about Victor Newman's latest move. The idea that Victor would go so far as to kidnap Jack Abbott in order to gain leverage has left her reeling with outrage and heartbreak. For Nikki, the photographs showing Jack unconscious serve as undeniable proof that the situation has already spiraled far beyond a strategic maneuver. In her eyes, this is not just a negotiation tactic, it is a moral line that Victor has crossed without hesitation. Every second Jack remains held against his will feels like a betrayal of the principles Nikki believes should guide their family. Standing firmly on the opposite side of the argument is Victoria Newman, whose loyalty to her father burns just as fiercely as Nikki's anger. Victoria acknowledges that the decision to take Jack as leverage is far from ideal, but she cannot bring herself to condemn Victor the way Nikki does. To Victoria, her father has always been a man who does whatever it takes to protect the people he loves, even if the methods appear ruthless from the outside. She believes that Victor's intentions matter just as much as his actions, and in her heart she trusts that he will not allow real harm to come to Jack. The situation may be extreme, but Victoria sees it as part of a larger battle, one where victory sometimes requires uncomfortable sacrifices. That belief fuels her determination to defend Victor, even as Nikki's outrage grows louder and more desperate. The emotional clash between the two women becomes impossible to ignore as their voices rise with conflicting convictions. Nikki's frustration reaches a breaking point, her fear for Jack transforming into a fierce demand for immediate action. She insists that Victor must release Jack without delay, arguing that no strategic advantage could ever justify what has already happened. The tension between them crackles like electricity, each word revealing just how deeply the situation has fractured their perspectives. Yet Victor remains steadfast, refusing to abandon the plan he believes will secure the outcome he wants. In his mind, everything hinges on the possibility of striking a deal with Phyllis Summers. Victor's confidence in that potential agreement keeps him from backing down, even as the emotional fallout spreads through his family. He believes that if he holds his ground just a little longer, the leverage he has created will force the outcome he needs. But the longer Jack remains a pawn in this dangerous game, the more volatile the situation becomes for everyone involved. The lines between strategy, loyalty, and betrayal blur until no one is entirely certain where the limits truly lie. And as the night deepens across Genoa City, the looming question grows heavier with every passing moment. Will Victor's gamble deliver the victory he expects, or will it ignite consequences that even he cannot control?